There's a lot to love about the popular TV series Outlander. For many, it's the intense love story between the time-travelling medic Clair Randall and the feisty Scottish Highlander Jamie Frazer.
You are my wife.
Others may be drawn by the romance associated with 18th century Highlander life. Whatever floats your boat, there's one thing for sure. The show is filmed in some pretty stunning locations from around Scotland. From imposing stately homes to picturesque Scottish towns, we're taking a look at some of the most amazing real-life locations from Outlander. Series 1 opens in the quaint little village of Falkland in Fife. Standing in for Inverness, this lovely village is used in both Series 1 and 2 and depicts 1940s and 1960s Inverness. Falkland is a place you can actually visit. The Covenanter Hotel in town was transformed into Mrs. Baird's guest house in Series 1, and you may also recall the ghost of Jamie looking up at Clair's window from the Bruce Fountain, which is nestled in the heart of the village. Bo'ness and Kinneil Railway is a charity-run railway situated in West Lothian. This historic railway also features Scotland's largest railway museum and is fully accessible by the public. The railway itself was transformed into a bustling 1940s station in Series 1, where Clair and Frank part company prior to Clair heading off to war. In Series 1, Clair stumbles through the stones at Craigmillar and finds herself in 18th century Scotland. This magical but fictional location was actually put together on Rannoch Moor in Perthshire. Although the stones were brought in as props, the moor itself is very much real and covers 50 square miles of boggy moorland just west of Loch Rannoch. This stunning area of outstanding beauty actually features a number of times in Series 1 and is also used as a backdrop to Clair and Frank's second honeymoon following the war. Also featuring quite heavily, particularly in Season 1, is Tuarach Grew in Aberdour. This beautiful patch of Scottish countryside features in the opening credits. It's also used as the wooded area where Clair stumbles across Jamie and his Highlander crew and is taken to Castle Leoch. Castle Leoch is one of the most familiar features in the Outlander series. This fictional Highland castle is a home of Jamie's uncle Colin and his clan. Leoch is actually filmed at Doune Castle in Perthshire. This 14th century castle houses one of the most well-preserved great halls in Scotland, as well as a stunning 100-foot tall gatehouse. Doune is an extremely popular visitor location. A scene where Dougal collects rent from a local village was filmed at the Highland Folk Museum in Newtonmore. This also serves as a backdrop to the scene in episode 1 where Clair, Jamie and his clan take shelter. Whilst residing at Castle Leoch, Clair forms an unlikely friendship with local healer and apparent fellow time traveller Gaelis Duncan. Gaelis lives in the nearby Craigmillar village, which is actually filmed in Culross in Fife. This beautiful village has been largely unchanged since the 17th century and makes for a very appropriate filming location. Clair and Gaelis are later both tried as witches at Craigmillar Church. It was actually Tibermore Church near Perth that served as a backdrop to the witch trials. Speaking of churches, one of the most popular scenes from Season 1 was shot at Glencorse Old Kirk in Edinburgh. Of course, I'm talking about the wedding of Jamie and Clair. Glencorse is a stunning 18th century church which sits within the grounds of Glencorse House. The kirk is actually a popular wedding venue in real life, but if you want to visit, be sure to arrange this in advance, as a kirk sits within private ground and is not readily open to the public. Midhope Castle near Edinburgh is a stunning 16th century tower house and sits within the private Hopetoun estate. Midhope holds a significant place in the Outlander series as it serves as the home of Jamie Frazer and his family. Lalybroch, or Tuarach as it's known in the Outlander series, is not readily accessible by the public. However, with prior authorisation, fans of the series can drive up to the castle and take a picture or two. Also within the Frazer estate sits a stunning watermill. This is where Jamie hides under the water to avoid contact with the redcoats. This and several other scenes were filmed at Preston Mill in the village of East Linton. This is one of the oldest working water-driven mills in Scotland. One of the mill's rooms was actually used in the later witch trials. Series 1 sees Jamie temporarily incarcerated at Wentworth Prison. This tense episode was actually filmed at Linlithgow Palace, with the entrance and corridors being used to replicate the fictional prison. This ruined palace was once a royal residence and was also the birthplace of Mary Queen of Scots. The ruined palace standing today is steeped in history and is far more charming than how it is portrayed in Outlander. Blackness Castle, which looks out over the Firth of Forth, stands in as Captain Blackjack Randall's Fort William headquarters. This 15th century fortification was built by the Crichtons, one of Scotland's most influential families, and is often referred to as a ship that never sailed due to its imposing battleship-like design. You may recall the intense scene whereby Jamie is, raped by his nemesis Captain Jack Randall. The castle is only a few miles from the Bonus Railway and is fully accessible to the public. Perhaps slightly less well known is that the awesome Bamburgh Castle in Northumberland in England was also used in the portrayal of a Wentworth prison. In particular, Bamburgh is used in a long shot of the prison, albeit digitally altered, as well as a close-up of the gatehouse. In my opinion, Bamburgh is one of the most stunning castles in England, so if you're in the area it's definitely worth a visit. A castle has sat on the site since 620, and the current fortification houses a stunning Norman tower. Episode 15 of Season 1 sees Clair approach Sir Marcus MacRannoch for help. Both the interior and exterior scenes were filmed entirely on location at Balgurney Castle in Fife. This 700-year-old castle is partly inhabited today and serves as a popular wedding venue. Following the infamous rape scene, Jamie is broken out of Wentworth prison by Clair and his kinsman Murta and is nursed back to health at a local monastery. The monastery doesn't exist in real life, and this final episode of Series 1 is actually filmed at the 12th century Aberdour castle, situated on the Fife coast. According to Visit Scotland, Aberdour Castle was once a luxurious Renaissance home and is one of the oldest standing masonry castles in Scotland. Amongst my favourite Outlander filming locations is the stunning Hopetoun House in Edinburgh. Built in the 17th century by the mine-owning Hope family and heavily extended in the 18th century, Hopetoun House is used quite extensively throughout Series 1, 2 and even Series 3. Series 1 sees the house standing in as the Belhurst Manor, the home of the flamboyant Duke of Sandringham. Series 2 sees the house used as a backdrop to Parisian streets, and eagle-eyed viewers may have recognised the house standing in as the fictional Ellesmere House in Series 3. This is where Jamie shoots the Earl of Ellesmere in defence of his newly born son. Series 2 sees Jamie and Clair land at the French port Le Havre. This is where Clair has a run-in with the treacherous Saint-Germain. You might be surprised to learn that this whole scene was actually filmed on location at Dysart Harbour in Fife. Can't imagine it must have been very warm. The scenes where Clair volunteered to work as a nurse were all filmed at Glasgow Cathedral, and the stunning gardens of Drummond Castle were used to replicate the formal gardens of Versailles Palace. Moving on to Series 3, Jamie finds himself holed up in the Jacobite Aberdour prison. Craigmillar Castle in Edinburgh stands in as the dark and dingy prison. Construction of this medieval fortification began in the 14th century, and the castle is famous for housing Mary Queen of Scots following the birth of her son James VI in 1566. Another of my favourite filming locations can be found at Gosford House, aka Helwater. This is where Jamie finds himself following being released from Aberdour prison. Helwater is the fictional home of Lord Dunsany and his family. Built in a neoclassical style, construction of Gosford House was started in the late 18th century and is currently the family seat of the Charteris family. Parts of Gosford also stood in as the stable buildings of Versailles Palace in Series 2. Other filming locations used in and around Edinburgh in Series 3 include the Signet Library, the cobbled Bakehouse Close situated within the Old Town, the Royal Mile, and the Veterinary School at Summerhall. This was used in the lecture theatre scenes where Clair trains to be a surgeon. Later, the Old Victoria Infirmary in Glasgow stands in as a hospital where Clair works as a surgeon. There will be plenty of locations I've missed, as this list is vast. If you've been to any of these places, or want to let me know of anywhere I haven't mentioned, please do comment. Well, that's the end of this video. As usual, if you've enjoyed it, please do subscribe, and I'll continue to bring you more content. And remember, there are plenty of other videos on my channel, so please have a look around and feel free to give them a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.